Darshan sir, firstly, it's been so many years. I think what 2, 3 years. I think since we've kind of met each other. I mean, this time it's virtually, but it's so wonderful to see you again and welcome to you on Filme Shilmy.
Thank you so much, Anuj. It's really nice to be here. And yes, it has been what about 2 or 3 years since we met.
Yes.
Uh, but of course, I had come there to London for my British film, and now I'm firmly back into the Indian territory, doing a Hindi television serial. So like
Yeah.
it's very different.
Absolutely. No, it's you're back to your roots, as they say, right? It's like your homecoming. I guess that's the best way to
Right,
describe it. So
right.
I think when I watch Sargam Ki Sadhe Satii, we follow it every day, without fail. And whenever I watch it, it makes me very nostalgic about Saas Bina Sasural. And I remember you were in that show. So when you kind of
Yes,
have returned back to this format, since Saas Bina Sasural days, which was like what almost 10 years ago now,
that's
how
right.
how does it feel? I mean, to kind of be back into that similar sort of atmosphere and vibe.
Well, for me, I I thought I'd feel a little out of place or maybe present at two places at the same time. Uh, you know, uh, 10 years ago in Saas Bina Sasural and right now in Sargam Ki Sadhe Satii. But thankfully, or rather as it were, kind of, quite coincidentally, the characterization of this man is a bit different this time. And uh, also, added to that is the very different kind of treatment that we are giving to this show now than what it used to be before.
Hmm.
So both these changes, they kind of, make me comfortable in terms of, being rooted right now in 2021,
Right.
uh, and uh, and not suffer bouts of nostalgia.
Hmm.
Though of course, nostalgia is a very sweet pain, and you know,
Yeah.
so and I do miss my old gang. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, because that was a very different equation. And you know what they say: a man can never enter the same river twice.
Right.
Uh, yeah. So because not only the river has changed, the man also has changed. So these 10 years that have added to my life, I look at Chedilal with very different eyes and
Wow.
in a very, rather more in an empathical way than what I used to before. Earlier, Chedilal was a very strict chap,
Hmm.
and though of course uh, shades of being Uncle Scrooge kind of guy,
Right.
very miserly, tight-fisted.
Hmm.
Well, he still is tight-fisted, but he's a little more expressive. He's a little more communicating kind of a guy,
Yeah.
and a little more vulnerable
Yes.
to
I've
what
noticed
is
that.
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So and because this treatment is a situation comedy now
Hmm.
rather than a drama.
Hmm.
It used to be a dramedy, a dramedy
Yes.
with with just a bit of a humor.
Right.
Uh, yes, but now we are consciously attempting to make it more towards, take it more towards humor. So that treatment also changes the way Chedilal needs to be played now.
Absolutely. Yes, very well said, sir. And obviously, the fact that even now, though, we still have huge Sas Bahu narratives, dominating the
Yes.
television space. In what way do you think perhaps Sargam Ke Sade Sati kind of can perhaps act as a catalyst towards more progressive stories emerging on Indian television now?
Uh, this show is more about the people who populate the house of Avasthis, and there are very distinctive plots episodical, more episodical in nature than what SBS was all about.
Right.
SBS used to have a story track,
Yeah.
which is more towards the drama genre, and the genre of situation comedy means you have finite stories, and each story brings out some element or the other of the characters and their chemistry with each other, and how they tackle the story, and how a little bit of themselves they reveal while tackling the story. So the character exposition and the plot kind of both move together. And of course we have funny situations and people reacting to it in a funny way. So that way, Saas Bina Sasural and Sargam Ki Sadhe Satii are definitely a bit different to each other. Pandemic definitely has changed the way we watch our entertainment also, and the way we are related to the outside world, and how much entertainment is a part of that outside world. So it is kind of that replacement. You could go out, and I can tell you to meet me at Leicester Square and kind of have a couple of belts. But now if I can't do that, and if I have to meet you virtually, similarly, there's a lot of entertainment that also helps you connect with human emotions.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So there is this sensory deprivation, and then there is this show which is a kind of an antidote to that sensory deprivation.
Absolutely. And in fact, since we're talking about the pandemic, I've always been curious actually about this, especially at a time like lockdown when everything was closed and you were trapped in your own homes. As an actor, what kept that craft of yours going? What did you do to keep maintaining that and make sure you don't lose the essence of being an actor?
I'll tell you, it was a very tough time. It was a very tough time. Let's not kind of confuse this issue. The loss of earning, because in any case, being an actor is a very fickle business.
Yes.
Yeah, you get work, and then there is a very long period of remaining idle. So that has its own psychological implications too. But when you are confined to your own home and without an ability to interact with a real audience for a theater lover like me, it is a nightmare which I don't want to kind of pass through again. But it also does, for example, I mean, tamari acting ni dhar ne butti banavi de
Huh. Right.
The instruments of your craft, your voice, your imagination, which needs to get activated or agitated, that also stops. There is no work happening. There's no rehearsal to go to. There are no new things to discover, and all these blunts your sense of your talent. It kind of you do tend to get rusty if you are not careful.
Right.
And being careful is what? It is like reading, accessing what other people have done the work before. So watching plays or watching films becomes very important. Reading up on people or seeing and watching their interviews on YouTube becomes very important. Digging into the archives of, let's say, National Theatre or other archives which I have at my disposal, remaining connected with that becomes very important. For example, we have this fabulous actor called Andrew Scott, right? Yes, and who played Moriarty, and who also did a very nice role in Fleabag, the web series. Suddenly his soliloquy about Hamlet, soliloquy from the play Hamlet, To Be or Not to Be, a very famous soliloquy.
Of course.
It turned viral on the internet.
Mm.
And I had a chance to see it, and then I had a chance to dig further and kind of go through his question and answer sessions and his small videos on the craft of acting. So I am meeting new people virtually. I'm understanding what they are doing.
Mm.
For example, the man who is very famous as Mr. Bean, right?
Yes. Rowan
Uh,
Atkinson.
Rowan Atkinson. Yes. So now he has such a lot more than just Mr. Bean, who is a silent person.
Yeah.
So much more to offer. You know, he can be an actor's training ground, training manual just by 5 minutes of his, stand-up comic act.
Oh yes,
So
absolutely.
try to I try to keep myself alive. I try to keep myself relevant and in touch with my own talent and in my with my own craft, because that is what uh, I would do during the lockdown.
Because you just mentioned about the internet, and I think the internet has been such a big boon for us. Apra mate, matlab, internet na hot ne, to we would have been almost like in the Stone Ages. And then I don't think we would have known what to do with our lives. It's helped us to
I
sort of
know.
stay connected.
And it shows us how really social beings we are. We cannot survive without tactile communication. We cannot survive without speaking with each other. But okay, we have to maintain the social distancing, so no bear hugs, no, it's only the Indian namaste that is gaining the currency now. But still,
Right.
yeah, without internet, I shudder to think what would have happened to us.
Exactly. No, exactly. And it's played a huge role in terms of the emerging talents as well. Like I'm sure Tame Joyu has said last year, we had some incredible fresh faces finally get the recognitions that they deserve because of their successful web series and films, respectively. I mean, for an actor like yourself who is very experienced in this craft of acting, who's had an enriched experience of working in various mediums. I mean, beginning from Gujarati theatre to television now as well. Do you kind of see the OTT platforms as like almost like a second or third innings towards your career now as well?
Well, I do believe that OTT platforms are a boon to all of us who are engaged in the production and dissemination of content. That is because OTT platform provides such a vast, arena for all actors to kind of, get up and be counted, as it were, to be given their own piece under the sun, their own kind of, ground under the sun, and the kind of the stories that we need to tell each other, the kind of the stories that we are telling through internet. They are not, you know, they are not perpetuating star system,
Yes.
where only a few elite, beautiful faces they rule the airwaves, they rule the screen. We are talking of the content in terms of the script, the
Mm,
story. The story is the king. The content is the king, and it throws up such brilliant performers
mm,
whom we did not know of before. And though, of course, it was, I believe, Andy Warhol who
mm.
had said that there will come a time where there will be 15 minutes of fame. He was referring to the advent of television at that time, so many years ago, 50, 60 years ago.
Right.
But now that 15-minute has also reduced down to 15 seconds of fame. You just put one very, how should I say, one very interesting 15-second show reel, a
Right.
reel in Instagram
Yes.
or on
TikTok as
Facebook,
well.
and if it goes viral, you are suddenly famous. It takes only 15 seconds for you to achieve that fame. And so our way of relating to whom we call celebrities has also changed. You know,
Hmm.
for us, celebrities are absolutely accessible. We know what they eat, we know what they wear, we know what they like to do in their spare time. We know the name of their dog. So
Yeah,
uh,
but
uh, the entire game has changed because of OTT.
yes, absolutely. But I think, do you not also think that perhaps because of the fact that, especially with Bollywood and Hindi cinema in particular, and the sort of culture that it's had over the years, do you not also think that the whole there's been a complete confusion between stars and actors? Because I do feel there's often that dilemma, and to a certain extent, we kind of end up loading mediocrity rather than actual art most of the time because of the fact that the stars are dominating the space. So we kind of actually uh, sort of turn a blind eye towards the actual art part of it. So do you think that OTT perhaps can also act as a catalyst towards that as well, and perhaps enable
Actually,
us from
OT,
distinguishing? Right.
OTT will obliterate the the difference between so-called stars and actors.
Yeah.
Uh, in any case, Hollywood films have always depended largely on character actors being the stars of the show. You know,
Hmm.
you have a Morgan Freeman, and you have a Clint Eastwood who is 80 years old, also starring in a film. Age was just a number for them. But Bollywood, the Indian cinema, did have these barriers of stars ruling the roost, and other actors just cannot achieve that sort of popularity. But now with OTT, everyone kind of knows about a brilliant performer, and maybe his brilliance is limited in your memory only to one particular web series that you have seen, or
Hmm.
maybe the way he can come again and again, pacing himself correctly in different stories and kind of perpetuate his presence. Similarly, but I don't think another star system will now emerge out
Hmm.
of OTT platforms. OTT platforms are much more democratic in their approach.
Yes, I agree. I think that's definitely something which I also vouch for. I mean, I know you've done some work on the digital space. You did a film, I think, for Z5 as well. I think, was it called Akuri,
Yes,
maybe? So I think you've already done some.
Apurvi.
Right.
I am well. I was lucky enough to be a part of the first one of the first OTT real web series, which was done by Wachowski siblings.
Right.
The makers of the Matrix trilogy.
Oh
They had
wow.
done Sense8.
Okay.
Uh,
Wow.
they did a series called Sense8 on Netflix,
Hmm.
and which had a number of Indian actors, Mr. Anupam Kher, uh, me, so many other people as a part of that series. Another one which was an Indian-made series, which really took the internet by surprise, was there is this outfit called the Viral Fever
Yes.
TV.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
had come up with a brilliant series called Permanent Roommates,
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember this.
which in which the second season I was playing a very important part in that. So I have been doing stuff on web platforms as well, not as much as I would want to. And now, of course, with Sargam Ki Sadhe Satii, it remains to be seen how I get time and to attempt something more in the space of OTT platforms. But I'm hopeful that better characters will come to me, and I am not reduced down to just play the hero's father or the heroine's father, as
Yeah.
lately it was happening in Hindi cinema. So,
Uh,
so yeah.
True.
So I am now looking forward to different kind of roles. Fortunately for me, the last 3 4 films in Bollywood also that are now going to be shown, they are all under production, post production right now. They also have very varying kind of characters that I'm playing, and I'm looking forward to Good Karma Hospital, the season 4 of Good Karma Hospital,
Oh
which is
wow.
being beamed in ITV. I've been doing a regular role in Good Karma Hospital for last 3 seasons.
Yes, yes.
So yeah,
We
I have
watch
been
it.
doing Yes, please do, please do.
We watch it
Uh,
religiously,
uh,
sir. Actually, whenever it comes on, we always sit down and watch it. So that's something which I think kind of is very familiar to us. In fact, sir, I actually wanted to kind of talk to you about your sort of stint in the West. And I find it very fascinating actually with the way you just said that you want to break away from playing the roles of the hero or the heroine in Bollywood, for example. But then I feel like the West has kind of given you more that ability to actually shine as an actor, whether it is the Good Karma Hospital or even Viceroy's House, for example.
yes,
Why do you think that you perhaps have got this more ability to sort of shine in a different type of role, in different type of roles in the West rather than you have in Bollywood? What do you think is the main factor that's kind of distinguished between these sort of choices?
I think it all boils down to the to getting the right parts being offered to you. And when I submit myself to an audition in London for a role, at least I am assured that very carefully people who are very honest to their need of what sort of an actor they need for one role, they do their work so diligently and professionally. They want the best to be available for them. And I don't mind submitting to auditions so much in the West, because that is the name of the game. Uh, and a very vast array of roles open up for me, because the inclusiveness, the cultural inclusiveness has now started showing its presence in the productions in the West. Uh, it is the diversity of actors that the West looks, kind of starts including now, even stateside, even in Hollywood television, and Britain, of course.
Yeah.
Uh, a lot of scope has opened up for Asian actors to come and to kind of be engaged in good cinema or good television there too. And it all depends. See, it's the ability of a casting director to look at certain aspects of an actor
Uh-huh.
and to realize that this is the man, this is the actor that I can use for this role.
Mhm.
Uh, for example, Eaten by Lions
Yeah.
is one another example.
Mm.
You know, uh, uh, Eaten by Lions, when I tested for it at London, uh, maybe they they had the story which allowed that authentic Asian person to walk into the story and make it his own. So, so if you have those stories where the entire world kind of passes through, and when you break down in your head the racial constructs that you were laboring under,
Mm.
that only white-skinned people can do television in London. That is not so. So I I'm quite excited to be a part of the productions that come out of UK and USA. Uh,
Mm.
and I kind of because the productions have started becoming internationalized. Uh, there is no provenance. There is
Mhm.
no location from where a production comes. It is an effort on a global scale by so many people
Mm.
working together for one project. So that's an exciting place to be in.
Hmm. Absolutely. I mean, I think hearing your perspective is quite different to what I often hear. I mean, because for example, when I speak to a lot of young actors, I mean, who are perhaps trying to foray or make the transition from Indian to international cinema, or even my friends here in the UK or in America who are trying to push for brown roles, or roles which are more sort of central. I think they do find it very difficult to kind of push for that. I mean, have you ever felt that there is a bit of a struggle, because I feel like it's taken so long. For example, like Priyanka and Quantico. I mean, that was such an iconic move and such an iconic achievement, but it took so
It's a
many
breakthrough. Yes.
But why has it taken so long, Darshan sir? And Kevi Rite Abadu, do you think will become easier? Do you think?
No, I think, I think what Indian actors also need to understand is the submitting themselves to a very frank process, a very transparent process of casting. You know, giving auditions, making meetings, uh, bidding for a role. Uh, uh, those aspects in India. In India, casting has always been a bit of a mysterious process. It doesn't just depend on an actor walking in and saying that, okay, I'd like to submit myself to an audition.
Right.
It also depends on, for example, can you imagine a film producer and a director sitting in the office at 11 o'clock any given day morning and saying, वो कल पार्टी में वो कौन मिले थे हमको, वो नाम क्या था उसका यार, वो रणबीर के बाप का रोल किया था उसने वो अजब प्रेम की गजब कहानी में, क्या नाम है यार उनका, मिला था, दो दो पैक पिए थे साथ में, अरे दर्शन जरीवाला, उसको बुलाओ यार, उसको बुलाओ, उसको पूछो ये रोल कर सकते हैं हम. एंड देन द प्रोड्यूसर माइट से दैट हाँ यार, लेकिन मेरी इनसे बात हो गई है, वो थोड़े सस्ते भी पड़ेंगे हमको, तो वो ओवर एवरीथिंग एल्स वो तो मेरे साले साहब है, तो उनको तो लेना ही पड़ेगा. यू सी, casting is not done quite scientifically in India. We have come a long way. Now we have casting agencies here also in India. We have at least let's say તમારા આંગળીના વેડે ગણી શકાય એટલા ઓછા, પણ છે. Casting agencies are there now and they are trying to make a good job of it. But the process of casting, the Indian actor's mind doesn't understand that a casting director may approach you without any prejudices in mind and ask you to do your best for that role. Because casting directors in London and in UK overall and in America, in USA, they are trained. They have themselves undergone a training of how to pick right people, and they make honest living out of it. For them, it is a very high grade professional job that they want to do. It doesn't depend on whether you know the director's father or the producer's nephew. No nepotism exists that way. So it is a very frank and honest process to which you have to submit very humbly. Now that humility in an Indian actor is sometimes missing. A young boy having done 2 films in a leading role in Bollywood, if you ask him to submit to an audition for a British film, he would most probably feel that, arey yaar, why should I give an audition? Am I not well known enough already? I have 350,000 followers on Instagram and so many followers on Twitter. But to tell you the truth, Anuj, what I've also heard, which is a very disturbing thing, is that nowadays even casting directors in UK or in USA may fall prey to this notion that a person who has a more social media presence is a better cast. I have worked with a young actor twice in UK and have kind of been in touch with him. He was very clear to me that, Darshanji, if you have, let's say, 1 million followers on Instagram, you will have a better chance of snagging a role than somebody who is lesser known as far as social media is concerned, but who is a better suited actor for that role.
Mm.
So, so I think now everything is changing. All the goalposts are changing. All the standards are changing. We are in a we are in a very interestingly dynamic situation here.
Mm.
Uh, so for example, for example, uh, Dimple Kapadia is doing a role in Tenet, which is so heartening to see. We have always dismissed of Dimple Kapadia as maybe a good face and not really so much of an actor. You know,
Huh.
uh,
I'm
yeah.
surprised.
But you see her in Dil Chahta Hai, uh, doing a fantastic role of an older woman,
Yeah.
having a kind of emotional connection with a younger man.
Sure.
And then you see her in Tenet, and you feel good. You see her in a OTT web series right now called Tanda, and
Mm.
you feel good for her that at least she has got some chance to show her acting prowess and not just
Absolutely.
merely her looks, which is
And
which is so nice.
And I think it's also important as well to acknowledge here that, see, often, and I think this always, I think everything, when we talk about the attitudes of Indian actors or the casting process, everything that we talk about here, I think it all stems back to the post-colonial hangover that we have. Because
Yeah,
as a nation, India has been ruled by so many foreign powers and so many
right,
conquerors that what's happened
right.
is that we have this very victimized mentality where we think about ourselves rather than the greater good. And I think that's been the biggest problem. And somehow I feel
Yes.
Bollywood and cinema is very representative of that as well. Would you agree? I mean, how do you think we can move away from this sort of hangover that we have?
No, you see, uh, the the fundamental rule of feeling equality is not to expect any favor and not to expect any favor and not be afraid of these constructs of your mind.
Huh.
It is one needs to move away from the fact that okay, India was colonized by the British for 300 years, whatever. Now we are all actually under the same sky, and uh, and India, in fact, has such rich story treasures. Such rich stories India has to offer to the entire world that we should not, in fact, an international production where you include everybody. This mindset has to go that uh, 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 that the there's no other way of putting it,
Hmm.
that the white actor is superior just because of the color of his skin. No,
Absolutely. Hmm.
no. I have done Good Karma Hospital for 3 seasons, and it is an ensemble cast, and we all have our own piece under the sun, a little piece of ground under the sun, and there is there is no palpable or overt or covert sense of any racial discrimination,
Correct.
and we all are a band of equals.
Hmm.
All those 6 or 8 regular parts. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so I do believe that Indians need to cross this threshold in their minds, and they must understand that they are good enough for everything,
Yes.
and it is merely the patience that you need to have in order to knock at this glass ceiling and to break through. Now, Priyanka could do it. Irfan could do it. Earlier, Om Puri sir could do it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Now there are so many
And you
other
can do
Indian.
it too, sir. And you can do it too. In fact, you are doing it.
Well, in my own small way, I am, and I think I have a long way to go, and I have that fire within me to kind of go on fighting and doing my work for next 2 decades if everything goes right. I have my health with me, and I have this desire to learn still.
Hmm.
uh, it is not diminished. We have this joke. We have this joke. Uh, કે હું તો MBA છું.
મને બધું આવડે.
Exactly. હું MBA નથી. હું હું હજી શીખવાડો. I am HS.
Super. Yeah. It's something which we also use in our household as well. But I think, sir, actually, કારણ કે આપણે unison ની વાત કરે છે and sort of being united in one front. I think what also I personally am very proud of seeing nowadays is the rise in Gujarati cinema and non-Hindi films as well, gaining so much prominence now.
Yes,
Like
yes.
gone are the days where, I mean, obviously we still have the crazy laugh out loud comedies, the stereotypes in Gujarati cinema. I mean, E Haji Chep, and I think thanks to films like Wrong Side Raju and Helaro, and even Be Yar as well, for that matter, we're seeing a very a big shift towards the
Yes,
Gujarati milieu.
yes.
You know, what do you think is contributing towards this momentum of Gujarati cinema, and how do you think we as a community can sort of support this as well?
Well, as a community, it's a very pithy kind of view that you just shared with me. But yes, Gujarati films are changing. Gujarati filmmakers are changing. The Gujarati filmmakers are more educated. They are more in command of their craft, and they know how to tell a good story. And of course, there is this burden of past overhanging, Gujarati cinema's past. But the fact is that if the Gujarati language also remains relevant to people like you and me, who are very comfortable in their English-speaking roles in their lives, but if Gujarati means something to you, Anuj, not merely me, I am from a different generation, but if you value Gujarati as a language, and if you make your kids value Gujarati as a language, then anything that you do in Gujarati, whether it is stage, whether it is OTT, whether it is a film, all will survive and thrive. So what it comes down is to basically have the pride of knowing my language and the importance of talking to my children in my mother tongue.
Huh.
That is very important. And to my utter delight, what I find is that people like you, I mean, I have met so many young Gujaratis in London.
Huh.
They do make it a point to speak Gujarati, whether at home with their elderly parents or their grandparents, or maybe with their friends when they are just out and they are, it's not that it's not that they can't converse in English, but there is this conscious effort on parts of the second generation, or even the first generation born UK Gujaratis to speak their language. So, and another thing is we have a vast paying audience across the world. Those who have the means, those who have the purchasing power to support as a community whatever happens in Gujarati language. That should not merely continue, it should grow. That support, if it grows, then I'm very sure that on a global level, if Gujaratis decide to see a film at least once, all Gujaratis staying anywhere, whether they are in Nigeria or whether they are in London or whether they are in San Jose or they are in New Jersey or they are in Ahmedabad or they are in Australia. If every Gujarati decides to see one Gujarati film a week, I think the commercial viability of Gujarati films will be totally assured. So it is this pride, that I have $10 to spend today, or I have £10 to spend, and I'd rather watch a Gujarati film than, let's say, Mission Impossible 6 or whatever. So
exactly.
yeah. So, and Gujarati films, of course, the future is quite bright. And it is once again, it is the OTT platforms which will help popularize Gujarati cinema more. I believe. Yes.
And that's in fact, I had this same conversation with Supriya ma'am as well. And I think she also said the same thing as well, that see, Helaro is an exception because that was a very visually appealing film. Like, you had the costumes, you had the garba, and the sort of setting that it was set in is not perhaps in ordinary everyday situation where the main sort of people who live in metropolitan areas sort of encounter, right? But obviously we have films like even Gorkeri, for example, which is on Amazon Prime, which is more of a sort of uh an ordinary
Rom-com.
relate. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. A relatable sort of milieu. Because of the fact that you have so much exposure now, and you've experienced a lot of other styles of acting and various styles of cinema, how would you like to also sort of bring that experience and perhaps enhance that through Gujarati cinema too?
Well, I am very keen to direct Gujarati films,
Wow.
and I I I do believe that once again, the old school of acting on Gujarati stage as well as Gujarati films that needs to be replaced by a more relatable, contemporary way of communication. And the stories need to be really, really good, meaningful, and the the way of rendering those stories. We should never forget that cinema is an audio visual medium. uh,
Ah.
the production the production values do count, as well as what counts is a very rich visual experience, and not merely talking, yak 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 yak. No.
Mhm.
uh, Gujarati plays have suffered from being totally word based, but Gujarati films need a more rounded approach in terms of their music, in terms of their cinematography, in terms of the casting, in terms of the direction inputs. It needs to now really, kind of mature, evolve.
Mm.
And if it does, I'm very sure that the young Gujaratis of today, wherever they are, they'll also feel interested enough to watch those films and not to dismiss it off as, "Are aa to mara mummy papa ne j game. Mane nahi maja aave aama."
Ah, exactly.
Yeah,
Every time I eat, you know what? This is exactly the same sort of conversation I've had with so many fellow actors and colleagues in the industry as well, who are also Gujarati and striving for Gujarati cinema. Because there was a time when we were like, "Oh, Gujarati film se, oh, to maja nahi aave, khali haswanu jhasse." I think that's the
right.
mentality we need to change. It's again about
Yeah,
unity. We just don't
yeah.
support each other, and I don't know why we don't. आपने एक बीजा नहीं पाड़ी
I know. That needs to change. That needs to change, and that change can be brought about by by people. You know, there is also a responsibility on us as makers to help that change by coming up with good, honest, uh, very entertaining, but a very mind churning cinema also. The cinema that તમને મનોરંજન જ નહીં કરાવે માત્ર, એ તમને મનોમંથન પણ કરાવે.
Ah, wow.
It kind of starts to make you think.
Hmm.
It is something that you take away inside you after the last frame of the film is over. That film still remains in your heart. So so that is very necessary. And on the other hand, we need to have this feeling amongst Gujaratis that they have to support the arts, and they have to kind of support the Gujarati filmmakers and Gujarati theatre. Uh,
Hmm.
what can also help is it's a reverse osmosis process. You see, I can right now hear a 35-year-old Gujarati man
Ah.
saying that my little kid of 8 years old doesn't want to know what Gujarati is. But if I tell him that, okay, let him watch a Gujarati film, a children's film, for example, made in Gujarati, then maybe that will excite his interest in it. For example, right now I'm doing a very good Gujarati children's film. It's called Gandhi and Company, and it's a festival film directed by Manish Saini,
Oh.
a national award winner, who won the national award for the best feature film in Gujarati in 2018
Oh,
in India. It
wow.
is his second film, and I'm playing a very pivotal role in that film. And it is a Gujarati, it is a well-made contemporary Gujarati film about two 11-year-old boys and their friend who happens to be 60-year-old. and uh, it's their friendship, and how that 60-year-old man, without preaching anything about the values of Mahatma Gandhi, how
Mhm.
he interests them into following certain values in their lives. Values of truth, values of equality, values of courage. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't them to experiment with truth in their own lives. And so we have this good film also coming up, Gandhi and Company. Uh, I think by 31st March, if it is ready, we will be sending it to festivals like Cannes or Busan, and even Toronto Film Festival.
Wow.
So that I'm a part of that film too. I'm quite happy and excited to be one. So yeah, what I feel is ગુજરાતી લોકો ગુજરાતી નાટકો અને ફિલ્મો જોવામાં પૈસા ખર્ચશે તો
Encouragement
I'm
મળશે.
very sure કે ગુજરાતીમાં, yeah, and the Gujarati makers also will be enthused enough. They'll be excited
Ah.
enough to, committed enough to, uh, you know, uh, uh, tell you good stories.
Absolutely, absolutely. I really want to watch this film. I'm definitely looking forward to that. In fact, any Gujarati film that comes out,
Sure.
I automatically become very excited and very sort of geared up to watch
That's
and see it. So I'm always very enthusiastic about that. But I think on a final note, sir, before I let you go, I know you mentioned that you have Gandhi and Friends. You have the upcoming season of the Good Karma Hospital as well. But એના
yes.
સિવાય બીજું કઈ projects છે that we can look forward to?
એના સિવાય there is a film called Hello Charlie, which is an excellent entertainment film.
Okay.
Uh, there is another film called Bad Boy, which is done by my 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 really, I should say, my mentor, Rajkumar Santoshi ji.
Oh,
I play
wow.
a very nice, very very pivotal cameo in that,
Wow.
and yes, those two are very good, Bollywood releases. And then there is an untitled film by Sandeep Patel. It's a Gujarati film starring Malhar Thakur
Oh, wow.
and Arohi Patel in lead roles. And I do play Malhar Thakur's father in that. But it is a very interesting character of a father who doesn't let his daughter go. Who has difficulty in. It's like more like a father of the bride. So uh, that is another nice Gujarati film that I'm looking forward to. And of course, then there is Sargam Ki Sadhe Satii, which I hope which has a long run and makes all of us happy and laughing every night.
I think it already has started, to be very honest. I mean, already when I sit down to watch the show, we've become familiar with the characters already. I think for
Yes.
me, Ojas has completely nailed it. I think life for Ojas is going to get so much better. I mean, everyone's doing a great job, of course, no doubt, but Ojas
Yes.
is fab in his
Yeah.
role, and I'm really really proud and happy to see him, because I saw him in Optimistics' Lady Special just before this, and to see him now play a completely different character, I
Right.
it's definitely made me very happy, and I'm sure Sargam Ki Sadhe Satii is going to have a great run on Sony TV, and I'm very excited to watch it. But thank you so much, Darshan sir, for
Thank you.
joining me on Filme Shilmy. It's been so many years, but I think it's been worth the wait, and I'm really glad that we could do this today. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.